Ever since retiring a week ago, I have found that I can actually get a lot more things done. So actually, since the last layout update, I've actually managed to make some substantial progress on track work, uh, roadways, and other scenic details. I have managed to finish the backdrop by getting a new coat of sky blue. So it'll be a couple tries. The clouds didn't come out a couple times, so I had to repaint. We got a nice new set of clouds. I still have to paint the background hills. That'll only be only in a couple spots. I mean, around the icing dock here, where we'd obviously see it, because obviously around some of these buildings, we're not going to see those hills, because they're going to be too low. The last update, I was kind of debating whether should I cut the ice dock down to fit, or cut it to fit the curve of the backdrop in this back corner, and I decided to cut the icing dock to fit the backdrop. So that has actually been cut in place, and the same thing, I've gotten the overhead, get a little closer here. I have actually cut down the icing dock to fit, and I've also completed the overhead ice conveyor section, and that is also cut down to fit the edge of the backdrop. I also had to notch the ice house as well to get it to fit nicely. This allows a little bit a scene here where I've managed to also complete here. I completed this today, this background building, and it can actually sit a little bit behind the icing dock. I was afraid I would have to cut the icing dock short or get rid of the stairway, but this allows me, making this building purposely a little shallower, will allow me to create a little bit more depth. And I kind of like the overlap here versus having immediately everything adjacent. Now the ice house here, I also completed the painting on it, trimming up places, covering any gaps, finished the weathering of the structure and the roof, so that, and put it on a nice foundation. So again, our conveyor section is level back here. And then we've also done, I did complete here, and I did paint the track. So we have the ties are painted, add some highlights for the ties in certain places to detail that out. And then I had to do a couple of repairs on these gas holders, mainly because they've been handled and so many times. The main thing what I've done is that I painted and weathered the foundations for these gas holders, because these gas holders, while they were there in 58 or 55, they were decommissioned a few years later. So in my 1965 and 1972 variants, all you're going to see is just the foundation. So I needed to have these foundations in place, so they would look good, without the gas holders, as needed. One of the biggest changes here is that I actually manage to complete the basic styrene work for our streets. Previous videos showed where I've sketched it out, but now I've actually gone around and actually laid it down. So this is using 40 thousandths thickness of styrene, and this creates the base. I would consider a base level that I can glue other things to. So this covers all the way from the edge of the pavement on this side all the way to where the back of the sidewalk is here. So into this section, I had a sidewalk that I have glued, a strip of sidewalk I've glued in place. And I also using 040 styrene, that I used the 040 square styrene strip to represent the curb, because right here there's going to be a soil landscape planter strip in between. But we got to curve this strip in, and in certain places I put curb cuts in where the house driveways will go, and then using a bit of strip and some 020 styrene, I've created a sloping driveway pan that goes from the front of the sidewalk out to the front of the curb. So we did these in a few spots here, and here. Then I needed to do, once I had this curve section here, I actually needed to get in, and then I had filled this out all the way up to, and butted this styrene up to the base of the T-Trak roadbed. But obviously we needed to go up and over the tracks, so I added some strip underneath and some more 020 styrene to create the slope from the base styrene up to the edge of the roadbed, just underneath the rail. And we use more 020 styrene cut to fit the rails on between the rails, and then also this back slope here. And then, of course, I've gone through and been heavily sanding the joints and puttying the joints where necessary to give it a nice smooth surface. And the roadway work also continues onto this module by extending here. We had a long diagonal crossing there and another straight crossing here. And then we had some evergreen styrene scribe sidewalks, as we had a nice straight section. But mainly, I've added all the pavement in this area. And the important I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get, because all of this pavement is all hooked together. These two modules, along with this road continues onto the corner module. I want to have all of this done at the same time, so I can do all the base painting and weathering. All these roadways will all look similar. There won't be any obvious disconnects across the joints. Of course, not all the work was done on those modules. I did do a little bit more track work. I did put in the next yard track over. And this is important because this track feeds through and connects into one of the staging yards between the modules. And I also added the crossover that connects that staging track to my arrival departure track. And the next crossovers to put in are these pair of crossovers, number 6 crossovers at each end, including my layover fiddle yard staging track. These 3, the 6, the total, the 3 on this end and the 3 on the other end, are the ones that will have the Waters switch machines, which have the DCC controls, the micro switches. These will control are needed for controlling the as-a-track signal system that will be going in place. And plus, for me, frankly, I'm much more comfortable with doing manual type throws, turnouts where the regular switch machine, servo based, blue points. I always seem to have these things always give me a lot of pause, and I make sure that I got these holes all lined up. One major thing with Payco turnouts, unlike some of the HO turnouts, we find nice where you've got a throw bar hole right in the middles between the rails, make it easy. These do not, and you almost have to put the hole has to be kind of offset to some degree, because the holes are really in the throw bar are really on the outside. So I have to make sure that I can put the holes in place and get the track in correctly, and make sure that we don't obscure the hole, don't make the hole too large or make it too small, and put it in the right place. So there's a lot of little fiddly bits to deal with. So, but that unfortunately will be one of the next things I'm going to have to deal with if I ever want to complete my main line. And lastly, I actually did start working on my freighter for the East Portland setup, which is on the other side of this backdrop in my water scene. And I had carved this basswood hull. I would say this hull extension, mainly because this Sylvan Laker class freighter module, while it's a waterline module, the height of the deck compared to the waterline, it was really too short, even with the shortest piers that were along the river, the Willamette River here in Portland. So the ship didn't look right, where the decks were considerably much lower than the pier height. So I've done is I've created this this whole extension here to make the module, the ship look a little larger than it is. So I spent some time here and getting it this resin here, whole glued and puttied and sanded to fit to make it look like one continuous bits. And then I did manage to also clean up and take all the mold release off all the parts. There's lots of little parts with this model, and started actually putting together. We've got some of the basic hull and the deck sections in place now. There's obviously the whole superstructure in the middle, and all the masts and booms and other little on the ends of the both ends of the ship. So you'll see continuous updates on this periodically as we continue working on it. Next steps in this work, and I already mentioned the number 6 switches in the yard. There's another set of those right here from the last video. We did get these properly gapped and feedered. I still need to paint this track in here to get it up to the same standard as the adjacent module. And then I think we do need to get these switch machines in place. Part of that also we'll be working on is getting I got some of the finish up the main bus wiring to connect it to the modules. I mean, got a lot of that, but need the module. Start working on the feeders, connecting the bus wires to the track feeders, and as well as getting the cables together for the T-Trak's UP5 panels to connect these together, so we can actually run and test, especially these switch machines, since they are capable of being addressed by DCC. Next, so if you like this content, please give me a like or a comment or any suggestions, or if you like if you want to see more of these layout updates, please consider subscribing. And thank you for watching.